Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach. I got time today, so let's work on another issue. This one's actually probably going to take longer than I expected because adding the attribute in along with this enum value, that's not much, but then I got to add in the support to the generator so that it picks this up and handles it correctly. And all the integration tests, I think, are going to start to break because I'm going to add obsolete attributes to the current attributes. I also want to change all my tests over to using this and along with code generation as well. I really want to just get rid of doing anything with rock create, rock make, and at least in the integration tests. I was thinking about this and I'm like, I could probably keep the other tests as is. They probably will start. Well, no, because the analyzer is already there to say don't make closed generic. So we don't want to necessarily change that just yet. That will come in 9. But now making the attributes themselves warnings, that may lead to a lot more work than I realize. But it's necessary. As Bane said, I'm necessary. So I just got done playing Batman Arkham Knight last night, streaming it. And that's not the line that's in there, but that just reminded me of The Dark Knight Rises when Bane says something about I'm necessary. I'm necessary. He's got the voice that he does. So this is a necessary thing to do. So let's get right to it. We have rock attribute generator. We want two things. We want mock kind. So come on. Mock kind, and I already made a, what's the word? Branch. That thing. And this should say we got to put that above here. Specifies the kind of mock to make. A mock that has expectations. A mock that has no expectations. It's documentation. Maybe not the best, but it's documentation. And then this one. And I think I'm not going to have an optional argument here. So we're just going to have a pure rock attribute. 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 There we go. Okay, let's replace that. Yes. At the assembly level only, that specifies, well, what do I say for the other ones? Use the specify type that should have a mock built. Okay. And we want this to be that, which means you have to give it. So we say here, creates a new rock attribute instance. The kind of mock to build. No, that's this one. Documentation is hard, folks. The target type to mock thrown if param_ref mock type is a, not sure if that's correct. The reason I say that is because I think I looked at this before. So if I say run and we have console right line, type of string is generic type, it should say false. If I say here, I list of string, that's also false. But if I say here, I say list, or I list, not you list, I list, that should be true. We want this to be, I think that's completely wrong code. Yeah, we want it to be, we want to be a little bit careful here because is generic type. And let's console right line, just get some space in here. So it is a generic type, and I should have generalized this. So it's not a generic type, it's not a generic definition. This is a generic type, but it is not a generic type definition. This is a generic type and is also a generic type definition. If mock type is generic type and it is not a mock definition, then that one. If it's something else, if it's an interface, that's not a generic type, we don't care. So we can we'll definitely do some tests on that real quick just to make sure we got that defined. Gets the kind of mock to build. And let's just grab the type to mock. Gets the type to mock. Because that's probably what we do here. Gets the type, yep, okay. So same kind of commenting, but different. So thrown if mock type is a closed generic type. Now we can do more validation later on. And arguably, if I think about this, we already have in mock model. Yeah, we already have that there. Let's not put this shouldn't be responsible for that kind of validation. This is just capturing. That comes later. Speaking of Bane, that comes later. So, and we can make this a primary constructor, but that's fine. So, because we don't do any checks here and anything like that. Okay, so again, we have assembly, that's flags, perfect. So we got that. Let's actually now do some tests, rock attribute tests, which this is going to be pretty simple. So test public static void create. So we'll say var mock type equals mock type. No, what do we call it? Mock kind. Kind is equal to mock kind of create or mock kind make. Var type is equal to type of string. We don't care. Var attribute is equal to new rock attribute. Giving the type and the mock kind. This will call just kind, and this one will call mock type. And then we're going to do a couple of asserts here. Assert multiple. We're going to assert that attribute.mock type is equal to mock type, and assert that attribute kind has flag mock kind create is true. And we're also going to say that it should have make. We run this, passes, which is expected. So we'll commit that and say 323, define the new rock attribute with tests. Commit, push. Okay, so that was the simple one. Of course, we don't need this here, so we can get rid of that. Now it gets a little bit harder because now in the rock attribute generator, you notice that we're doing some things here. And the things we're doing is get information context from this attribute, these attributes. This one's a little different because we can't assume, I had to pause for a second. We want to do this, but a little different. Because we can't give the attribute name here, and I'm surprised this works at all. Let me look at this. Need to grab the type attribute value. Note that I'm assuming there will be at least one generic parameter. So we're attribute to mess with that. Well, then I guess. See, that's not correct. So we look at it as if it's generic. Then we look at the type arguments. Else, we look at the constructor arguments, the 0th one, to get the type symbol, which is fine because here we're doing rock make attribute, either type mock, or which would be that. We could put something in here to say if you have two constructor arguments, then the build type here, where does that get defined? Yeah, see, that's being passed in because of this. We don't know that until we actually look at the attribute now. So I think the right thing to do is to say get mock information. We don't need to pass in the attribute name or the build type, or if it's generic. Okay. So what we're going to say here is we're going to say rocks.rock attribute. Okay. Now, the attribute would be that the type to mock is going to be the first constructor argument as a type symbol, except we have to keep that around there. Okay. So if we look at the first, that's the 0th one. Now the build type. Var build type. Wait a minute. If I have a build type already, let's reuse that. Except we're going to put flags on it. So we're going to get rid of the mock kind, because we already have a build type that's already published. Might as well keep it. So rock attribute now is going to be build type, the type of mock to build. Okay. And then nope, build type. And we could say build type here as well. A little awkward, but we're saying mock type, build type, which is fine. We can also say here now that this would be, we're going to assume that this is build type that, except the second one. Why don't you like that? Unboxing. Nope. Wrong. You can't. I know it's the value there, but in our case, it's going to be a value one way or the other. And if you screw it up, that ain't my fault. Don't do that. This is going to say it's declared but never used. That's fine. So we're going to say just var mock types is equal to get mock information from the context. That's it. Now these eventually are going to go away. Okay. And so that's also going to make this slightly mock types collect, because once you get the type to mock and build type, you're done. We're keeping these two around, but eventually these are going to go, these are going to go along with the to do, and that's all that's left. And everything falls through from there. Okay. So nice. I like it. If the type to mock is iname type symbol, it is unbound generic. Yeah, it's the same case as the other one. We should only see an unbound generic type with type of, but using type of iService when given. So we'll check it in all cases. Good. Okay, so I think we're fine. So what we want to do now is we have rock attribute tests, rock attribute generator tests. Create when target type is valid, make when target type is valid. So what do we got here for tests? Create when target type is valid. Do we actually even say here and use this type of? Probably not, but no, don't delete that. Copy that. What we want to do is something like this, because using rock attribute. So now what we would do is just rock your type of mock iTests. Build type create. Now this should work. Which it doesn't. That's not correct. There's something else. Mock kind does not. Yes, sorry. So this is build and does What does this do? It fails. Why does it fail? And it seems like it didn't create any source. Let's see. 1, 2, 1. Oh, too much. Too much, right? Yes, let's try it now. Still didn't make it. We did call it rock attribute. It is in rocks. Okay. Just making sure. Let's come into here. And now run this test. It never goes in there. We are saying get mock information. Right? So let's at least... Okay, so we do get that. You say for attribute with metadata name, rocks.rock attribute. Why is that not being called? Mock types collect. So just to be clear here, is valid async. This one should end up calling this one, right? Which it does. So there's something messed up with this. What is it? Build type. That's in rocks. That'd be build type create. This is just rock from rocks. Rocks.rock. Oh, crap. No, it's there. It's public. Yeah, it should be. You can see rock create. That's perfectly fine. If I come back to my test here, I should be able to say rock. See there, it's rock attribute. That shows up. Type and build type. Now it's on the wrong spot. It should be at the assembly level, but that's okay. Doing our code here this way, that is fine. If I said assembly, no, you got to do it. Assembly rock type of string build type. And that's, I mean, the rocks is there, but you have a using statement right here. And that's also is above the type of string. That, I don't understand what that is missing. It's just iTest. It should work. Now I'm getting near the end of this episode, so I might take a look at this off camera to see why this isn't actually firing. 1210. That's the assembly. Mock tests, iTests. You do see that is the right name, right? Using rocks. And we say rocks.rock create attribute. That's rock attribute. There should be no reason why this doesn't actually fall through. Unless there's something I'm missing. It's the rock attribute generator. I mean, we saw that actually runs. Is there anything I'm missing here? Incremental generator test. We only have one generator, right? Yes, only one generator. That's the analyzer. That's the generator. Those are just the current attributes, and there's nothing special about them. They're just attributes. I'm a little confused. Get mock information. Why that's not firing. Valid operation exception. Am I missing? This is just loading all the stuff. I don't know. I don't understand why this is not working. I mean, these are all using the generic versions. This is mock tests. This is iTest. I mean, not to be pedantic, but if I do this, that works. I mean, it gets a little confused because, but it knows it's that. Why do you think it has one overload? It just is that. That's the only one that's there. I'm honestly confused. I thought this would be far simpler than what I'm doing here, and I am missing something completely obvious. So I'm going to look at this off camera, and then I'm going to try to figure out what the problem with this is so I can move on, because this should work. Thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.